Now we're going to talk about why XEN matters. You know, XEN is the first protocol ever created that is designed for mass adoption and lives up to the first principles of crypto. XEN really tries to solve problems, you know. Unfairness is a problem. Centralization is a problem. Adoption is a problem. Custody is a problem. Lack of transparency is a problem. So we ultimately do this because we want to solve these problems. And many systems fail and create distortions based on bad system design. Decentralization, unfairness, transparency, and custody are just some of the parameters that can greatly influence the longevity of a project. So if it's done right, it's less points of failure and max adoption becomes a possibility. We need to create strong incentives by offering a platform with the lowest possible barriers for everyone. Anyone from an early miner today all the way to the young student in the future, to optimize their own wealth in a self-sovereign way. So, by you figuring out how to optimize your wealth and your families, which is fine since there's low risk, right? They don't have to buy in, they don't have to sacrifice, they don't have to sacrifice an existing value to participate. You're at the same time contributing to the network effect, which is great for everyone. So it's aligned incentives here. But instead of you just jumping in, if you're just dumping it, you're actually incentivized to hold for long, delayed gratification. So what does that mean? That means we now have a network of people who in a trustless manner shows long-term support for the network. I mean, it's great. Also, we will all be incentivized to teach all newcomers about self-custody. It's better for everyone. And it's better for everyone because I'd rather have you have XEN than not. If you have XEN, you will become more incentivized to hold and delay gratification than sell it, right? You'll be more incentivized to tell others and grow the network. So I'd rather teach you how to protect your wealth than to have you lose your keys. So you will also feel good about sharing wealth creation. You'll be XEN in life. The low barrier to entry here is key for XEN, but more so for crypto adoption. You know, we as an industry, we wanted adoption, so we told people to sign up with centralized services like Celsius, Voyager, because it was easy and convenient. And in doing so, we thought we did everyone a favor, but the reverse was true. Since they were system not based on first principles, built with trust in persons who lied to their customers and convincing you to give up custody, of course, they eventually failed, and so hard, setting back adoption years, discouraging your dear loved ones of hope and fortune. No bueno. Okay. So what did we learn? We learned that we gotta make the barrier to entry as low as possible, so it's more convenient than centralized services. Now they can enter crypto without even having to, number one, explain to their legacy bank why they want to have more control in their life by controlling their own value. Number two, go through the shady centralized exchanges. And number three, risk their own money without knowing anything about crypto. At least until they start learning and can take educated decisions. You know, apart from gas fees, maybe you can send them if they clear your room or buy you a coffee or something, you know. Crypto is like a stormy ocean. It's scary, it's volatile, it's dangerous if you don't know how to sail. But if you do know how to sail, however, you're encouraging wind to get you from A to B. And this is where XEN protocol really comes in. XEN protocol is the robust boat that will let the complete noob sail in the very stormy ocean in a safe way, all the way until he encourages the wind and surf on the waves. XEN protocol, with its unforked, completely novel code, rests, however, on the shoulders of giants by adopting what has worked very well on other protocols, but at the same time eliminating the points of failures that made the other protocols and services fail. XEN is doing this by adopting first principles. There are no VCs optimized for their own ROI, dumping on your ass as soon as they get a chance. There's no centralization making the whole network deal with unnecessary uncertainty of their value, which can be jeopardized with the whims of the few. No Darkstone getting monopoly on yet another industry, massaging the back of Brian Armstrong. You know, what do you think? This guy wants the best for the industry. He's running a business. If made a choice over what's best for Coinbase or people of the world, he's going to make compromises. That's how it works. It's nothing to be emotional about, but you have to realize that's what will happen. No 50% team and founder allocation pretending to be decentralized while controlling the whole network. No Machinsky sitting there saying, trust me, our balance sheet is strong, your funds are safe, we're insured, customer first, stare right into your face while taking your keys to your hard-earned money and gambling it away. Banks are not your friends? Well, no shit, Sherlock, we already knew that. Well, guess what? You're not either. That was your hard-earned money that's now gone because some guy chose not to be transparent, fooling everyone to believe that adoption requires giving up custody. How many years did that alone set back crypto adoption? No Kevin O'Leary encouraging to arrest our fellow developers just because it fits his institutional adoption narrative. Sure, bring in institution, but at what cost? We want adoption, but maybe, just maybe, there are other ways of achieving such without making a whole industry fall into the hands of big mighty institutions again. Centralization yet again. And personally, I don't care about regulation. Regulation needs to serve the people, not the other way around. They're gonna tell you and me that it's okay to transact with this, but not that, based on some fraudulent framework they invented in Wall Street, Washington, and even worse, some global entity for the greater good. Hell no. No more pump and dump schemes manipulated by whales. Really? That's the best we can do for adoption. Finally, making new systems and build something new better than the legacy system. You tell all your friends who know nothing about the very basics of investing, they invest their hard-earned money on the newest influencer hyped coin just to get wrecked shortly after by manipulation or VC unlock exit. You think that's a good intro into crypto? Why not make it easy for them to learn? Instead of expecting instant profit, introduce them to the beauty and longevity of thinking long-term, delayed gratification. If you think long-term, you always win. Have you thought about it? You obviously win in the long run because you're taking sound decisions today with the intent for tomorrow. You're planting a seed today that you can harvest tomorrow. But you also win today because you feel good about the good that's about to come. No more Gary Gangster standing there fooling you to thinking you can just save your hard-earned money to retirement. Really? I'm getting less than 0.1% APY on my deposits while inflation closes in on 10%. And this guy used to work for Goldman. Maybe because someone printed 40% of all dollars and existed today in the last couple of years, maybe that had an effect on inflation. It's just a theory. You know, Yell and J-Pow chanting transitory all the way while you, again, now have to pay the bill and they just get away with it. Didn't we learn anything from 2008? How much more are we going to let them destroy value before we wake up? J-Pow said just the other day, we don't want to stand in the way of appropriate innovation. Including digital innovation, but we think that's something that is considered money need to be appropriately regulated. And you know, even though that might sound reasonable, the problem is are you gonna be the one, Mr. J-Man, to decide what is appropriate? No. We basically have to code faster than they can regulate, guys. Guys, the whole system is fraudulent from the roots, but we can do something about it. So what can you do to change the world? You can do one of three things, or all of them. You can regulate, you can communicate, or you can build it in. Let's take an example. Let's take the seatbelt of a car. How do you incentivize people to use a seatbelt? You can legislate. You can say there's a fine if you don't wear it. You can communicate. You can have a billboard saying this is how many people die in car accidents and 90% of them didn't have a seatbelt, and in doing so you incentivize someone to use a seatbelt. Or you can build it in. There's this annoying sound that won't shut up until you put the seatbelt on. Personally, I am a builder. I like to create stuff. I loved Lego as a kid, so when I hear Pau saying stuff like that, I'm thinking, okay, let's just build something here first so you can't corrupt it. I don't know, maybe I should trust the Fed more, but it's just so hard, you know, based on their track record and their lack of transparency. It's impossible. So we can all do something, guys. If you're not happy, choose your battleground. Build community, build, communicate, or legislate. Don't feel bad, just go out and fight. Do your part, and it all adds up. But I'm not done. No more governments freezing your bank accounts because you don't follow the party line. As if fiat currency weren't badly designed enough. They're about to get even worse. With CBDCs, the government will not only be able to follow your each and every transaction, they will be able to create new crises, make up even worse solutions, and decide who gets paid what when. And if you don't comply, they will be able to reach straight into your bank account and withdraw non-complacent fees. No thank you. We will create our own reserve currency. We learned about self-custody from centuries of malpractice. Most recently within the crypto with Celsius and Voyager. And outside crypto, for instance, you had the Canadian government freezing bank accounts if you only so much donated $25 to a protest. You have Chinese banks freezing accounts and redefining your deposits. The same pattern, it's the same problem with the same solution, custody. Who should control your money, you or someone else? Listen, you don't have to agree with me in all of this. You know, Socrates said regarding solving a dispute, I think it was, let's first sit down and go through all the things we do agree on, and then we can see what we don't agree on. So XEN protocol is basically highly condensed consensus of first principles, which is based on just math. It's just math. People are going to call us religious at some point because they always do, but it's verifiable religion then. You know, if you mint XEN, you're basically adopting the narrative of, yeah, this level of transparency and principle makes sense. When you mint XEN, you mint first principles. You know, maybe you're just here for the mad gains, and that's fine. You know, you build your wealth and you help others build theirs. The governments of this world, they sure as hell ain't gonna help you become a sovereign individual, so who can blame you? But then why don't you build philanthropy into the heart of the model? The system will let you make a living for yourself, but at the same time benefit everyone else. Doesn't that make sense? You build and grow your wealth and help others build their wealth and sovereignty. And instead of building for yourself first and thinking about giving back later post-Ferrari, do both right away. You find a system that benefits you and others simultaneously. XEN is a good example of that kind of system. They want your money, they want control, they want power. They may censor us, they may regulate us, they may even lock us in, but they will never make us stop innovate. You can't stop innovation, you can only prolong it. Listen, maybe, just maybe we cracked the code here, we figured it out. Maybe XEN is a system that will benefit millions of people all over the world, no matter where you live, where you come from, or your circumstance. But also maybe along this path we will fail because of a system error, but it's okay. We will just continue to innovate and educate. First principles again and again. So why do all this? It's not because we can, but it's because it's needed, it's necessary. XEN is basically a game of delayed gratification. It's a fair launch. No initial supply, thus not benefiting the founders or the VCs. It's free mint, and there's always a way for the new guy to make something, since you get more depending on the longer you wait. I can mint, but then I lose my C rank and I have to start over. So I'm just going to benefit more than you who come after me until I actually mint, and why wouldn't I? I was earlier to help build the network. So you have all these mechanics, but the real value is the network, the community being built. And the entry barriers are the lowest possible, which is needed for adoption. Guys, community is key here because, as we talked about, we can mobilize a force for good in a trustless way. So this means we don't have to know each other or base our belief in trust in a person or an institution. We can trust the system through verification and the value it is built with. So yeah, for these reasons and many more, XEN protocol really matters. XEN tries to solve problems. Unfairness is a problem, centralization is a problem, adoption is a problem, custody is a problem, transparency is a problem. Welcome to XEN protocol. We need you. So this is the outro. And thank you for following me this whole path, guys. It's been an amazing journey together with you. We have covered what XEN protocol is and why it's unique. We've talked about who's behind XEN. We've exposed the super shadowy coders. We went through how you can participate, how you can mint. We also disclosed when and where you can do so, up to the point where we know that today. We've gone through the light paper. We talked about how XEN works. We broke down the formulas into quarks, so you know exactly now how every little thing works. But again, seeing this for the first time, you're probably more confused than ever. You need to see this again, again, again. You need to have it explained by other people. You should really listen to Jack. And again, you don't really need to understand the whole mechanics about it. You can just participate by getting a wallet and some gas and press some buttons. We went through a use case to get some perspective to understand how XEN protocol really can be used and really make a change in people's lives, and how significant effect XEN protocol can have for adoption. And then we talked a little bit about why XEN matters, just to get a little perspective of the why we're doing all of this, and why it's so important that this is not only about mad gains, guys. This is something that's really needed, and if you have something that's needed, then there's also room for it to grow and become big. If you think this is interesting, please go into the Telegram group. You have 1,200 ninjas, seniors there right now who are just waiting to help you with whatever question you have. We have a Discord set up. You have a Twitter where you can follow. Also follow Mr. Jack Levin, the Mr. Google guy. And you can also go to his Linktree and see other stuff he's worked with. So, okay guys, thanks so much for listening. And goodbye. I hope you realize by this point that XEN makes sense. Okay, goodbye.